Hi, so I'm just up on the portals and I'm walking a section of the Christchurch 360 trail. I'm walking the Pilgrims Way Track and a section of the Crater Walkway out to Godley Head and then down to Taylor's Mistake. So that's the start of the Christchurch 360 trail here at Taylor's Mistake, and we're just heading up the Pilgrims track that goes up to Godley Head. So we're just heading across the beach over to the houses over there, and then there's a track that goes up and around the headlands, and that's the direction we're heading. There's a whole series of batches over here at Taylor's Mistake running along the back of the beach, and then the beach itself heads down this direction. It's one of the best surf beaches in Canterbury. You can see there's a few surfers out there at the moment. There's a track up the side of the hill here that goes up to the main track, and then we head up towards Godley Heads. There's a better view looking down the beach and coming tide. The other way you can get back to the car park is just following that track. Just climbing up to the main track. So we just head up the track from here. It's a steady climb up to Godley Head. There's a big cargo ship out there heading into Littleton Harbour. Looking down onto Taylor's Mistake. So you just kind of sidle along the side of the hills for a wee while, and then gradually gain altitude height up to Godley Head. So those are the cliffs at Scarborough over there. Then going back into Taylor's Mistake. So that's where the track splits away. So I'm going to go off to the right and do all the uphill stuff first. So the actual Pilgrims Way track is down below me, but there's a wee loop here, and what I'm doing is I'm climbing up the hill. I'm going anti-clockwise, climbing up the hill first, and then I'll come down the Pilgrims Walkway all the way back to Taylor's Mistake. It's quite steep. That's looking out into Pegasus Bay from up on the portals. Track zigzags up the hill, and eventually it gets up to the Summit Road going out to Godley Head, and then you just follow a track up there. That's a MTB track down there called the Sidewinder that runs down next to this track. Don't go down there because the mountain bikes go tearing down there at speed. There's a number of stiles along the track to help you get over the fences. So you can see the track's a series of switchbacks gradually heading up to the Summit Road, and you can see the Summit Road over there on the other side of that valley. That's heading out to Godley Head. And so the Pilgrims Way goes along the edge of the cliffs and then starts climbing when you get down around that headland over there. Yeah, so I'll be coming back that way. That's the place where the MTB track separates off this track. So that's the Sidewinder going off to the left, and the actual walking track is going off to the right there. So we're heading for that saddle over there, and the track goes over the Summit Road and goes round the back of that wee hill there, but I'll talk to that when we get up there. Sheep. There's a wee section of boardwalk here to walk over. As always, it's not for you, it's for the plants and the mountain bikers. So this part of the track is dual use, mountain biking and walkers. So just look out for the mountain bikers. They're going downhill, so they pick up a bit of speed. So the name of the track that we've been walking up is the Breeze Col mountain bike loop track. Yeah, which goes from the Godley Head car park down to Taylor's Mistake via the Sidewinder track. Keep walking out of camera shot. So I'm up at the Summit Road, it's just behind the camera, just over here. And then I'll just basically explain what you do from there. When you get up to the Summit Road, you've got a couple of options. So if you want to walk the Christchurch 360, you go across the road over to the track on the other side over there, and you go round that side of the hills, heading towards Godley Head. If you're just walking the Breeze Col loop, you just go off to the left over there and head along the mountain biking track down to Godley Head, or you can walk along the road, but the track is actually safer. That's the Breeze Col MTB track. I'm going down to Godley Head. I'm not going that way today. And then you can see this is the Godley Head Loop Track, and so we're just heading off to the right here and around over that stile and around the side of the hill. That's the way the Christchurch 360 goes. There's also a MTB track that goes up and over this hill here. So we're now on the Christchurch 360 and heading around to Godley Heads. So you can see the Christchurch 360 logo on that post over there. We're just going over that stile and heading around this hill out towards the heads. Just heading up the hill. So you're just looking down into Littleton Harbour there. That's looking across to Purell. Ripper Island is that wee island separated off from the mainland. And then in behind Purell is Mount Herbert and Mount Bradley on the Banks Peninsula on the other side of the harbour. That's looking further up Littleton Harbour towards Gebby's Pass in the far distance. It's uphill to start with on this track. That view is the mouth of Littleton Harbour going out into the ocean, into Pegasus Bay. The track sidles around these hills to that point over there in the far distance when you start walking down to Godley Head. It's quite steep, but then it gradually evens out. This section of the Crater Run Walkway was closed for a couple of years after the Christchurch earthquakes because big boulders keep falling down the side of the hill, but it's open now. You just have to be careful in certain places. So I'm just walking through the rockfall zone. It's real busy on these treks because it's Matariki today. Yeah, it's the first time they're celebrating Matariki as a public holiday. Bit of up and down. So there's a good view up Littleton Harbour all the way to Gebbies Pass. You can just see the harbour off on the right hand side there. Yeah, so anyway, it's Matariki today. Matariki's a Maori celebration. Primarily it was a harvest festival, but it's also like a remembrance time when you remember people that have passed away over the last year. 2022 is the first year that it's been a public holiday, but from now going forwards, sometime between the end of June and halfway through July, there'll be a public holiday. It's basically marked when the Pleiades star group comes up over the eastern horizon, and you know, people have these ceremonies where they go down to the beach and they watch it the first night it comes up over the horizon. Yeah, it's good to have some public holidays that are about Maori culture. We should have more of them, really. So we're just about to go around the corner, and then we'll be able to see down to Godley Head. That's Adderley Head over there on the Banks Peninsula side of Littleton Harbour. There's a couple of wee bays over there. I'll look the names up and I'll put them on the vlog clip here when I put it together. This one over here where there's a farm. Yeah, so the mouth of Littleton Harbour is about maybe 1.5 to 2 kilometres wide at this point, and like super deep. This is the point where the volcano collapsed and the inundation of the sea over the top of the debris. That's Mount Evans over there. Mount Evans is the 3rd or 4th highest hill on the Banks Peninsula. That's looking down to Godley Head. So I'm heading out toward Godley Head on the Crater Room Walkway. It's just down there below me. Godley Head was covered in a whole lot of defence installations back during the Second World War. We'll go down and have a look and see, because the track actually goes through it, but it has been closed for quite a while because they discovered asbestos down there, and so they basically stopped the public from walking around. But we'll go down and have a look. It's looking down to Godley Head where all the defence installations are. You can see some of the defence installations down there, down on Godley Head on this side of the peninsula. Christchurch 360 trail heads downhill there down to the car park there at Godley Head, and then we'll go on from there and I'll explain what happens from that point. Looking out to Pegasus Bay from Godley Heads. You can see right up the bay. On a really clear day you can actually see all the way to Kaikoura, which is out in that direction. There's Christchurch off in the distance. I'm just sitting up on a rock up above the car park on Godley Head, just having something to eat, just just having some lunch. It's really busy down there. There's like a whole lot of people on motorbikes that just turned up. Or I would have sat down there because there's picnic tables and like a set of toilets and, you know, some information panels. It's quite a good place to stop down there, but it's just too busy. So I'll just have my lunch and then I'll walk down the hill there and we'll have a look and see what the signs say. But I don't see people walking around by the defence installation, so I'm thinking the track's probably closed. Entrance to Port Levy just over there. Godley Heads is that ridge line in between us and Port Levy. Yeah, it's like the outer limits of Littleton Harbour. There's someone in a sea kayak out there. That's as close as I can get a view to them. Yeah, looks like they're pedalling around from Port Levy into Littleton. So I finished my lunch. I'll start walking down the hill down to the car park down there, and we'll just see what the signs say. There's a whole pile of information panels up here about the people that worked up here, what the installations were for, you know, about the whole threat of the Japanese and the Germans during the war. That's one of the panels just down from where I stopped for lunch. That's the MTB track that goes up and over the hill. There's frogs in this wee wet area here, this wee swampy area. That's quite strange, isn't it? So at the moment that's as far as you can go with the Christchurch 360 trail. You can't go around Godley Heads Loop Track around the defence installations because of the asbestos. So what you basically do is you just go back through the car park, and then there's a track going down the other side of the hill that goes back onto that loop track, round past the contaminated area. Now there's a couple of picnic tables here and some information panels, and then obviously you could walk up to the defence installations up the hill, walk around that hill that I've just walked around, or walk another section of the track. You just can't walk out to the defence installation. There's a set of toilets over there that you can use. They're actually open at the moment. You might be able to see there's some people walking up the hill. That's where we're heading. That's where the track goes down and joins back onto Pilgrims Way, a bit further down the hill and outside of the Godley Head exclusion zone. So we're just heading over this way and then down the track. Yeah, so we're just heading downhill and heading back to Taylor's Mistake. Looking towards Scarborough Cliffs and Pegasus Bay, the beach going all the way out. So you just want to keep going straight to get back onto the Pilgrims Way Track. If you go left, it takes you down to Scott's Hut, which was an old packable hut that Scott took down to Antarctica on one of his expeditions, and they dismantled it and brought it back up here and put it back up on the hill about maybe 5 years ago. Just making my way around the side of the hill just to get back onto the Pilgrims Way Track over there. Yeah, so this is just basically a sheep track. Goes around the hill there, joins on over where the exclusion zone starts, and then I'll be heading downhill. Those buildings were old barrack blocks and offices for the gun installation out here. They use them, the dock rangers use them there. So we're just heading down that way. You can see the track going out onto that headland. That's as far up the Pilgrims Way track that you can go, and then the track takes you along the edge of the fence and back over to the Godley Head car park. But we're just going to turn around and head down the hill. So we're on the Pilgrims Way Track, heading down to Taylor's Mistake. That cargo ship might just be sitting out there, must not be going into Littleton Harbour. Big set of cliffs over there. Yeah, so you can see where the track zigzags down the side of the hill. So there was a battery of 5.5 inch guns that sat here as a temporary measure. They didn't have any guns up here at the start of the war, and so they put a couple of 5.5 inch howitzers here, and they built these platforms for the guns, and then later in the war they put some big 6 inch guns up on that headland up there, and those were the main guns. Those wee alcoves were ammunition storage. They put ammo in there, and then there were like armoured doors on the outside. Yeah. And the bigger ones were where the gunners could actually get in there if somebody had returned fire on them. So that's the Scarborough Cliffs over there. The highest point is about 150 metres. And then right in front of us there, that's Taylor's Mistake, where we're heading. You can see the track winding down around that bay over there. There's a wee bay there with some batches in it. I think it might be called Boulder Bay, not sure. There's a sign down the hill here. I'll put the name up anyway, whatever it is. Yeah. So there's like a beach down there, rocks. I can see some people walking around down on the beach. Probably quite good for fishing down there. Yeah, it is Boulder Bay. The residents have planted a big patch of like native bush here. So like typical lowland native bush you would have had on the hillside back when Europeans first arrived. Yeah, starting to get quite tall now. We're just continuing on around sidling above Boulder Bay. That's looking down to Boulder Bay. Yeah, there's about maybe 10 batches down there. That's boar ear. It's a type of succulent that grows out on these peninsulas out here. I'll put the Latin name up here for you as well. I can't pronounce it. Yeah, it's all over this hillside. You see lots of it out here in these bays, and down the other side of the hill over here as well, like all over the hill. So that headland over there is the last one before Taylor's Mistake. There's a seabird colony here at a certain time of the year, and so there's a predator-proof fence down there to stop stoats and things getting down to the seagulls or terns. Can't remember what it is that nest down there. Still about 2.5 k's to get back to Taylor's Mistake. There's a bit of an uphill section up to the junction with the Breeze Col track and the Sidewinder track. Yeah, so you're just climbing up the hill. Some stairs to climb up. So I'm on the downhill section down to Taylor's Mistake. There's about maybe a kilometre of the track left. Taylor's Mistake down there. Sun's coming out for the first time today. Very bright down there. Look at all those people down on the beach. So we're just walking the last couple of 100 metres to the end of the track. Nearly at the end. It's the last wee section of the track there. There's a Christchurch 360 logo on that post there. So there's a set of toilets there at the car park that you can use, and this is the car park at Taylor's Mistake. So there's all this parking, and then parking on the other side of the trees over there as well. So that's the end of the track. That was about 4 hours walking. It's a really nice track. You should come and give it a go. Yeah, a section of the Christchurch 360 trail. See you on the next one.